You're looking for a proper thriller to watch, something that's actually good, not just whatever disposable content the Netflix algorithm is pushing this week. I've got you because these are the 5 best psychological thrillers ever made, the ones that genuinely get inside your head and stay there. They're properly dangerous. We're talking about films that treat your sense of reality like a piece of glass they're specifically trying to shatter. They don't just surprise you, they make you feel like the floor you're standing on isn't quite as solid as you thought. I'm not spoiling a single reveal today because you deserve to have your mind blown properly, but we are going deep into what makes these films masterpieces. Quick one before we start: if film content is your thing, subscribe. We do this every week. Kicking off our list at number 5 is a film that I genuinely believe is more relevant today than it was when it released in 1997. Satoshi Kon's Perfect Blue follows Mima, a pop idol who leaves her music career to become an actress, only to find herself hounded by an obsessed stalker and a series of gruesome murders that seem to mirror her own life. I know some of you have a hang-up about animation, but give this one a try and you can come back in the comments and thank me later. Kon's direction is more sophisticated than 90% of the live-action stuff Hollywood puts out. There is a specific sequence where Mima is filming a traumatic scene for a TV show, and the edit starts blurring the line between the fake world of the set and her real life until she literally cannot tell them apart. It is one of the most effective depictions of a psychological breakdown I have ever seen. The way the film uses a 90s-era website to track her every move captures the terrifying reality of digital stalking decades before social media even existed. It is properly haunting, and the craftsmanship on display is just staggering. If you have not seen it, fix that immediately. At number 4 is a film that redefined the entire genre for the 1990s and still casts a massive shadow over everything that came after. David Fincher's Seven stars Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman as 2 detectives chasing a serial killer who uses the 7 deadly sins as his personal blood-soaked manifesto. What makes this film so visceral isn't just the crimes, it's the atmosphere. Fincher and his cinematographer, Darius Khondji, created a world that feels like it's literally rotting from the inside out. It's always raining, the buildings look like they're covered in a thin layer of grease, and there is this constant low-level hum of city noise that makes the whole experience feel suffocating. Morgan Freeman gives one of the great performances of his career here, playing Detective Somerset as a man who has learned over decades exactly how much human depravity costs. There is a scene early on where they discover the sloth victim, and the way the camera lingers on the sheer detail of the room, the air fresheners, the decay, the absolute commitment to the killer's vision, is genuinely disturbing. It is visually intoxicating in the darkest way possible. 30 years later, it still works. Make of that what you will. Number 3 belongs to a film that is essentially a psychological trap designed with the precision of a Swiss watch. Park Chan-wook's Old Boy follows a man who is kidnapped and held in a private prison for 15 years with no explanation, then suddenly released and given 5 days to find his captor. Most people talk about the hammer fight, and yes, it's spectacular, but the real brilliance of Old Boy is the mental cage it builds around the protagonist. Choi Min-sik did not just play the lead role. He literally became him. There is a specific scene right after his release where he's sitting in a restaurant tasting fresh food for the first time in over a decade, and the look of sheer sensory overwhelm in his eyes is properly devastating. It's a performance of raw, animalistic desperation that almost no one else could pull off. The revelation at the end is one of the few times I've genuinely felt the air leave a room while watching a movie. This is a story about revenge that asks whether the truth is actually worth knowing, and the answer it gives is utterly brutal. Honestly, this film is what made me fall in love with South Korean cinema in the first place. That is not a small thing to say about anything. At number 2 is a film that I have been obsessed with for decades, and I will go to my grave arguing it's the greatest work of David Lynch's career. Mulholland Drive starts as a relatively simple mystery about an aspiring actress who meets a woman with amnesia in Los Angeles, but it quickly dissolves into a fractured, dreamlike exploration of identity and the rotting heart of Hollywood. Lynch doesn't use traditional narrative logic, he uses dream logic, which is actually much more terrifying because it hits your subconscious directly. There is a specific scene at a place called Winky's Diner where two men are just talking about a nightmare, and the way the camera slowly, almost painfully, drifts toward the back of the building is the most dread I've ever felt in a cinema. I honestly had to pause it the first time just to breathe. Naomi Watts gives a performance that deserves far more recognition than it got, shifting her entire persona so completely midway through the film that it makes your head spin. This film is a puzzle that you don't solve with your brain. You solve it with your gut. It's haunting. It's perfect. It's Lynch. And at number 1, the film that contains the single most claustrophobic and psychologically scarring ending in the history of the medium. The original 1988 Dutch film, The Vanishing, is the undisputed master of this genre. It follows Rex and Saskia, a young couple on a road trip who stop at a gas station for a break. Saskia goes inside to buy drinks, and she never comes out. For the next 3 years, Rex is consumed by her disappearance until the man responsible finally reaches out and offers him the chance to know exactly what happened, on the condition that he experiences it for himself. What makes The Vanishing genuinely terrifying isn't a jump scare or a masked killer, it's the villain, Raymond Lemorne. He is a family man, a chemistry teacher, and a literal sociopath who treats the concept of evil like a lab experiment. He wants to see if he's capable of the worst possible thing, not because he's crazy, but because he's curious. Now, I honestly believe this is the most disturbing portrayal of a predator in cinema because he is so completely, boringly normal. There is a specific scene where he's practicing his kidnapping technique with a stopwatch, timing how long it takes to lure someone into his car, and the clinical cold nature of it is properly chilling. It makes your skin crawl because you realize that monsters don't always hide in the woods. Sometimes they're just the guy living next door. The ending is something I am categorically refusing to describe. But I will say this. It is the only time a movie has made me feel like I was actually running out of oxygen. It is a masterwork of absolute uncompromising dread. If you have not seen it, fix that immediately. And that is the top 5. 5 films that prove, conclusively, that the most terrifying place on earth isn't a haunted house, but the human mind. The psychological thriller is a genre that demands more from you than just your time. It demands your attention and your willingness to look into the dark. From the digital fever dream of Perfect Blue to the suffocating Dutch highways of The Vanishing, these are the stories that stay with you because they speak to fears we all share. The fear of being watched, the fear of being forgotten, and the fear of what we're capable of when we're pushed to the edge. The best films in this genre don't just show you a mystery, they make you a participant in it. Which film on this list genuinely surprised you? A quick thumbs up goes a long way. It helps more film lovers find this channel, and it genuinely means a lot to me. And subscribe to Movie Reel Ranked if you want more videos.